Welcome to the Legal Innovation Forum podcast series, leading at the intersection of business and law. Today we are interviewing Andrew Brown, president of BridgeMaker Referral Programs. In this episode, Andrew discusses the business advantage of referral sources and referred business, and he outlines a systematic way of harnessing the unique power of referral sources to bring in desired sales. Keep listening for some top tips for organizations looking to increase revenues, enhance reputations, shorten sales cycles, and improve trust felt by key stakeholders. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes.
A quick note from our podcast sponsor. Tired of dealing with document chaos in your corporate legal department? Let iManage simplify your life. With iManage's powerful document and email management system, you'll have everything you need in one place. Secured, organized, and easy to access. iManage is trusted by 40% of the Fortune 100 and by legal teams worldwide. Learn more about iManage on www.imanage.com.
Welcome to the Legal Innovation Forum podcast. Today we're interviewing Andrew Z. Brown, the president of BridgeMaker Referral Programs. For 30 plus years, Andrew has helped organizations accelerate sales in fast-moving technology companies, well-established financial institutions, digital marketing agencies, and traditional professional services firms across North America. Andrew is the author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Get Referred, How to Increase Sales Velocity, Volume, and Value, which is a reader-friendly how-to guide that is instantly usable by anyone on the hook for generating revenues for their law firm. He was also a speaker on our strategic marketing webinar earlier this week. And so we've talked to Andrew a lot this week in February. So thanks for joining us again, Andrew.
Andrew, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Andrew, let's start. Why did you write this book?
So, as you said in my introduction, for over 30 years, I've been helping a lot of organizations increase revenue. And during that time, I worked with dozens, if not hundreds, tools of digital marketing tools, and all of them had their place. And I worked for small, medium, and large firms, and I consistently found that new, good quality leads would be coming in via another source other than utilizing those digital and automation tools. And I found that it was via trusted referral sources. And that was happening in parallel to the tools and how business development and marketing were actually rolling out their programs. And that's not to say they didn't have a purpose and they weren't successful in those programs, but as far as generating high quality leads and profitable business, no, that was happening through referrals. So while organizations were building these massive infrastructures and budgets and content, deploy digital tools, when it came to selling big ticket or valuable offerings, these tools were secondary. But I also found the ways organizations were leveraging referral sources had negative consequences. So referral sources were being overused or neglected or disrespected. And as a result, these firms, businesses, lost existing clients, experienced reputational damage, and when referral sources weren't representing a firm well, they actually alienated the referral sources and they lost the business. So I said, well, there's got to be a more systematic way. There's got to be a method by which firms can get all the unique power of referral sources without experiencing the negative. And that's why Get Referred. And I call it 30 years of experience in 300 pages.
Excellent. Yeah. And I've read it, and I think it's, a really useful how-to guide for this. And it really kind of synthesizes something that I think, especially in the legal profession, people spend a lot of time doing into something that has a methodology and a framework behind it. And for those who follow lift programs, I love looking at structures. And I think that's right. We look at things like CRM, right? Here's a target, a total addressable market. Let's go get it. Let's track it in our CRM. And, where are we with that? But we don't often think about the value of referrals or track them at all. And so it's certainly helped me think about it too in our business. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, the world of referrals and managing referral sources, let's be frank, it's messy. It's also it's messy because it means dealing with people. It means dealing with them one-on-one instead of trying to blanket them. It means recognizing that not everyone's a great referral source. It means that that sometimes you have to be a little bit nimble. The nice thing is lawyers and their team have these qualities. They can do them, right?
Yeah.
And the nice thing about referral source and managing a referral program, also, this is something that is inherently appealing to lawyers. Lawyers, you don't have to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Referral source, managing referral is, and this is going to be a nice little soundbite, it is building business without business development. So whatever you think business development is with your firm, right? All those things that you think, well, I've got to do blogs, I've got to go and do speaking engagements, I've got to do networking. Those are nice venues, but they are not necessarily going to help you leverage referrals. They can, don't get me wrong, but them alone, those are usually the tools that lawyers will be told by their senior partners or by their chief operations folks, go and do these things, activity, and you'll get some business. But if you actually harness referral sources wisely, guess what, lawyers? The referral sources do all that work for you.
So let's start at first principles here.
Yeah.
I'm in a law firm.
Yeah.
I think some of my business comes from advertising. Some of the business falls through the window. Some of it comes from referrals. Some of it comes from my sales efforts, direct to market. And let's contextualize it. Let's say you're a personal injury law firm.
Okay.
So if I were to come to you as a managing partner of that firm, I'd say, Andrew, I think we get a quarter of our business from referrals, but I'm not sure how we do. I just, our partner, Sally, says, she's a member of this tennis club, and she met a bunch of people that way. John, he has Raptors seasons tickets, and brings his friends to that, and then they recommend their friends. So how do we systematize that in the first place to say, okay, what counts as a referral, and how can we value that referral? And then secondarily, how do we think about that process of what a referral is and how we leverage that in a positive way? Because at the beginning of the conversation, you said it's easy to go down a negative route with it without even knowing. And maybe even understanding that it's a negative outcome. You may think that's great. We play tennis all the time and I buy them drinks and we never get anything. So just give me a little bit more about how that looks like on the ground for people.
So let me go to your example first. I'll call it unsophisticated in their referral management. That doesn't mean they're unsophisticated as far as their provision of legal services or how they develop themselves as a law firm and creating great lawyers and great thought. That's not when I'm talking unsophisticated. I'm talking about how they manage referrals. And to be fair, we've got to put the stake in the ground. It's a little granular right now, but we have to start tracking where the business is coming from. So it means, do you set up most law firms have some sort of accounting and billing system. So here's a very simple method. It's a start. It's not foolproof and stuff does fall through the cracks, but in the billing system, include a drop down for referrals. When they're opening up a case file, where did this come from? Did it come direct? Or did it come from a referral source? That is someone outside the firm. That in itself, for some firms, will be like moving a mountain just to get a drop down. And the reason is that some lawyers, perhaps more old school than others, will be hesitant to say where my business comes from, because with that ambiguity comes a little bit of power. But I say, with the knowledge of where the business comes from, it actually gives you more power and gives you more opportunity to grow. So there's a starting point.
Yeah.
Have a drop down. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. I'm going to add one into our CRM after this.
Don't worry, I won't bill you for that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
So so on that front, right? So if I'm looking at that universe of referrals, so and then I say, okay, I sit down, I'm you. I sit down with the law firm. I sit down with Sally and the managing partner, and they say, all right, here's my book of business, and here's 10 referral sources. I went and looked back, and I agreed to do this because I think it's useful. Okay, then I see those 10 referral sources.
Okay,
What do you
what
make
next?
sense of that? Yeah, what do you do with that?
What do you next? Well, let's be real, okay? Not all business that comes into a law firm is great business. It's not all equal, right?
Yeah.
So it requires some time to sit down with the lawyers or the partners in the firm, and you take a look and you say, well, wait a second, these referral sources are bringing in some great business. It's coming in, it's profitable business. It gets us to strengthen our reputation within a particular sphere or be seen as thought leaderships. Wow. Let's identify those, I call them MVPs.
Yeah.
So, and they really are MVPs if they're doing it at a frequency that makes sense for us, that helps us achieve our targets, regardless of how loose those may be. So if we, as a firm, want to grow by 4% this year or 14% this year, if that is helping to contribute to it in a significant way, again, those are the MVPs. So it's frequency and quality of business or amount of revenue coming in. So those referral sources, those are awesome. Now, there may be some referral sources at the other end of the spectrum who are bringing in stuff that, quite frankly, is not business that you want, right? And so you go through an exercise of identifying, and in Get Referred, there's a very simple referral source champions grid where you plot your referral sources, or rather the business you get from referral sources, against these two simple dimensions: revenue coming in and frequency. And so then at least you have some clarity around the universe of where referral sources are coming in. And then you can start to be honest with yourself. Now, the next phase, now that you know that, that's some, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, right? What do we do with that knowledge is next, because it's at that point we say, are we okay with getting a certain amount of business that comes in that wastes our time? I contend that you don't want that, right? Resources are finite, profitability is always important. So when you have that knowledge, then you start to create a bit of an evaluation process of your referral sources. And that's existing referrals. And then that should flow into, when you think about, well, wait a second, we might have 4 referral sources that are bringing in business. But if we had 4 others that were really well targeted, then maybe we could actually, again, reduce the pressure internally with our own lawyers, the pressure to do business development. We might be able to be doing other things. So with that in mind, you are then saying, all right, based on the data that we have, how does it inform our recruitment or evaluation? What other referral source candidates can we approach? And then you start to take, again, looking at certain qualities of a referral source. And one thing that I speak about frequently about is basic referral math. Referral sources, in order to be successful, have to have 3 things: willingness to refer, skill to refer, opportunity to refer. And in legal terms, what is that? That's the old means means, mode, and opportunity. What's the legal? It's the three things that you need in order to be a potential perpetrator, right?
Sure.
So it's means, mode, and opportunity. I think that's what it is.
Mm.
So you start to identify that some of your referral sources are current as well as potential, are great at some of those things. That is, you have a good understanding of what skill they have to refer, because they're bringing in great business.
Sure.
So you know what that looks like. But you also identify some gaps, and you go, well, wait a second. Andrew seems to really be firing on all engines when it comes to having opportunities to refer, but he's just not doing it frequently. Why is that? So you investigate. So for each existing client, existing referral source and each potential referral source, you start to apply a discipline of evaluation. Again, when you think about lawyers, when they're doing evaluation of their clients and people who fight against them across the aisle, right? They know who their competitors are. They do an analysis. They apply a discipline to that. The same thing when it comes to managing referral sources.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about in sort of general terms, because you consult for different law firms and you have a lot of experience. What would be a common or the most common referral source for lawyers that you see? Like, or do you, I mean, I know there's all kinds of different law firms that do different things. So I want you to give me two examples. I want you to talk about law firms who are offering services to consumers like you and me. So that would be, real estate lawyers, estate lawyers, etc. And then in a business to business law context where law firms are servicing businesses, be they directly to, the CEO, the CFO, the salespeople, or to an in-house legal department or lawyer. Make those two distinctions where I would expect those to come.
So if you are aiming at a business to consumer, if that's the nature of your law firm, that's fine, or a practice is more business to consumer, there is a likelihood that a 30 to 40% of potential referrals will be coming from existing clients. That's on B2C. B2B is an entirely different animal, and it becomes far more nuanced. But typically, B2B, it is not your existing clients that refers. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but for the most part, when studied across different firms, across industries, B2B referrals are not coming from existing clients. And there's some reasons for that, and we can get into that. But the referral sources tend to be from these groups. They tend to be from other professionals that you've established relationships with. They come from actually sometimes prospective clients, previous employees, some current employees. It's actually way down the list that it's existing clients. So those are the two different.
Interesting.
So depending on, and if you're a full service law firm, right, you're going to have that blend. You're going to have that mix. In fact, there was just some research released yesterday and was done on referral behavior. Now, this was B2C, so business to consumer, of 71 million referrals. So you can imagine across all sorts of different industries. But it found that people who are referred are more likely to refer again.
So it has that multiplications.
Exactly, that exponential. That's right. Now, and again, when that comes to business, the same thing happens. So it's again, still being referred is a panacea, but getting their B2B versus B2C, very different animals.
Okay, let's talk about the motivation part. Why would a referee, a referrer, be motivated to continue to refer to you?
Okay, I want to pick up on something that you said specifically, continue to refer.
Okay.
Because the research on motivation, or the reason why people refer, is complex. But I'm going to try to pull out a few things that are really vitally important so that our listeners can actually apply them. So the first thing is, it is very, very rare that there is one motivator for someone to refer. And it is also very rare that it is simply money. There might be, there are often what's called a cluster of motivations that get someone to refer. So that's the first thing. If you're developing a referral program and I'm just going after clients, that's going to limit you. B2B, if I'm just going after clients, that's really going to limit you. And if I only think it's going to be money, that's also going to limit and constrain you and will, I mean, you may be creating a channel program where you think everyone's the same and you just reward with money, but we're talking a referral program. It's more nuanced. So, one, a cluster of motivations. Two, not only money. Three, it evolves over time. So that's why I picked up on your phrase, to continue. The motivation to start referring is often something that's different from a motivation to continue to refer.
Okay.
Okay. And I lay out quite concisely the different types of motivation. And it tends to sort of fall into 16 different groups. So it's not the universe. It's not unmanageable to figure out the motivation, but you have to devote time to understand the motivation of your referral source. And that's why, it does take time. That's the first thing. And you don't have to be thinking of a referral program as something that is more than a handful of referral sources. A referral program allows you to grow without going through all the pains of scaling. Right? Scaling, building up infrastructure, hiring a whole whack of people, technology process. You don't have to do that. You can achieve the growth, revenue growth, by just really understanding and helping to manage and make referral sources really, really successful. And part of that is touching base with them on a regular basis. It might be quarterly, semi-annually, and spending time with them to understand what's changed in their life as far as their aspirations, their career, and that's going to have an implication on their motivations. So one example, one referral source, B2B. He was a wonderful referral source because we went through the evaluation. He was horrible at a lot of elements, but we started to backfill. He had no skill. He had some opportunities, kind of, and his motivation was the one that was the lever we started to pull first. He was a very busy executive, and his organization was telling him, you've got to go out and you've got to increase your profile. So he had some organizational motivation, right? If I'm going to achieve in my organization, I've got to get some profile. Within the group, there was an expectation, because of his level, he wanted to become more senior, that the group, he wanted to get kudos from the group. He wanted to be seen socially. He wanted to get that reinforcement. That was another motivation. But here's the thing that made all the difference. He was a new father. He just had an infant in his house. He wasn't getting any sleep. And what he wanted more than anything was a good night's sleep. So what we did was we built a referral program that allowed him, and we pitched speaking opportunities for him so that he could then go and be out of the house. So organizational motivation, social motivation, personal motivation, they all came together, and it was key lever. And then he was open to getting some training around speaking in front of an audience. So, I see. Okay. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned motivation, and sometimes that's the in to understanding how to get a referral really on your side and firing on all engines.
Absolutely, yeah. But it does take work, and it's
It
not
takes
just
time.
it's not just the carrot of money.
No. I mean, anything worth doing is worth doing well, right? And your output is only going to be in relation to the amount of effort you put into it. Just like preparing a law case.
Yeah. Okay, fascinating. So let's move on to the current context of referrals.
Mm.
You note in your book there's a real paradigm shift going on in referrals. Can you explain a bit more what you mean by that?
So, I contend that the paradigm shift is something that needs to be done. So all marketers, salespeople, business developers, at some stage of their career, believe that the fastest path to revenue is directly to the decision maker.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? Why bother going another route? The thought is, it's like driving from your home to your work. You know the path, you know the endpoints, so why waste your time making any stops along the way? But marketers and sales professionals increasingly learn is that when there are so big risks involved, a faster path to revenue is actually via a trusted referral source. And that doesn't sound like a big paradigm shift, does it? That's not. So here's the paradigm shift. So the destination needs to shift from throwing all the energies at reaching out to, engaging, wooing, and appeasing the decision maker to supporting the kind of influencer that has the skills, willingness, and ability, skill, willingness, and opportunity to get the decision maker on board.
Right.
So
and that
that's
could
the
be
paradigm shift.
Okay. So that's an internal, that could be in a company. You're an internal influencer. And yeah, I mean, we work in that way too, right? We say when people come to our conferences, look, don't just think of it the obvious decision maker. There's many decision makers and there's many influencers, and every organization's different. And so the more touch points you have and more of a strategy you have, can help you lead to results. And that's proven. And I think you've shown that.
I just want to say one other thing. And the reason why referral sources are so valuable, there's several, but one that's really critical. And it's when there is a big risk for someone to purchase or to invest their time in you as a service provider, right? They feel anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There is an emotional and business anxiety that is bundled with high-risk purchases.
Mm-hmm.
That's where a trusted referral source plays an essential part, because they're actually bringing down that anxiety.
Right.
And no amount, or I'm being harsh here, but no amount of white papers and blogs are going to address that. It is going to be that personal, trusted relationship that comes at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's a full-throated endorsement that says, Andrew Bowyer and the legal innovation forum is what you need. It's what you need now.
Yeah.
This is why you need them. And don't bother wasting your time on anyone else.
Yeah.
And if you get that kind of endorsement, you bypassed the entire part of the sales funnel, right? Why do referral sources, referred business, why does that move through the sales funnel so fast? Because you skip build awareness, you skip evaluation, you skip consideration, you skip all, and you go straight down to point of conversion. And that's why referred business is faster. And the cost of acquisition, client acquisition, is drops dramatically. So it's all about anxiety and reducing that.
That's very interesting. The whole psychology of selling, right? And the whole psychology of buyer psychology too, I think is really important and very interesting. So Andrew, just to sort of wrap things up here, again, down to sort of brass tacks on how people can start thinking about this in a structured way. I think the first suggestion is go on Amazon, buy Andrew's book. Second is then call Andrew. You can find him on his website. And then third, if I'm just sort of thinking again back to first principles, I'm saying I need to grow my firm by 20% this year.
Yep.
There's more competition. I'm concerned about the impact of technology and AI. 3 top tips, first principles that folks can think about.
Okay, so first, tips and principles. So first, the overarching principle is make referral sources successful. That should be it. That should be your business development and your revenue generation imperative for the next year. Find ways to make referral source successful at bringing you business. And of course, that opens up a lot of doors, right? It opens up or cans of worms because you have to understand what it is that they need in order to be successful. And you can start with just, again, very simple. Take a sheet of paper out. Take one of those big yellow pads out and write down the referral sources that you think would be awesome. And then go down the next column. Do we understand their skill, willingness, and opportunity? Do a 1 column for each. Skill, willingness, and opportunity. Do we understand them? Yes, no, maybe, not a chance. Okay, then spend some time with them to fill in those gaps of your knowledge. So that will help you start to hone the efforts for your referral program. So that's overarching, make referral source successful. 2, approach managing referrals as a program. It's got a beginning, a middle, and end. You manage it, you allocate resources to it, and you measure it. Provide a business case. Fortunately, there's a lot of business cases to prove that referral sources are successful, but bear it out in your organization. Take a look at where your business is coming from, where you think your business is coming from, and identify referred business. Allocate responsibility for the program. Right, the old adage: until it's managed, it's not going to get done or succeed. Now you said, and thank graciously, Andrew, you said go and buy your book and call Andrew. Well, the thing about Get Referred is there's enough in there for you to get started. I wanted to create a roadmap that you could apply to your organization and roll out without me. I'm happy to come and act as a guide, but really, if you apply what's the process and Get Referred, you don't need me. So you'll be a great case study. Another thing, demonstrate alignment with sales, marketing, business development, all that. There should be alignment within the firm, right? So you cannot have part of your organization. This is tough in law firms, right? They're that expression of herding cats, right? Getting them all together to do the same thing. Well, you do want to have some alignment. If nothing else, you want to find ways to demonstrate that referrals are important. So is it a weekly meeting? Is it a quarterly meeting where you stand up and you show love to the people who are bringing in business via referrals? You report on it as an organization, and you reward it. So you start building and reinforcing that culture that referrals are indeed important. And at that same time, this is a little more complicated, you look for things that might be getting in the way of referrals, that is processes. So for example, if you keep on telling your lawyers that they've got to be billed 45 hours a week, well, where's the time that they have in order to nurture referral sources? It's just not going to be there. So are there things that you have done instinctively, or rather over a period of time have grown in terms of process that might be serving as an obstacle to helping to identify or nurture referral sources?
Right. This is such a fascinating topic, Andrew. I really appreciate you taking time to dive into the complexity of something that perhaps as humans we kind of think is intuitive, but it's so valuable for any company. and to structure it. We spend so much time structuring things in terms of our targets and the folks that we don't know or the folks that we know already who spend money with us. But how we get influencers and referrers to really add to that pie is obviously a really key part of a growth strategy. So highly recommend everyone listening in purchase Andrew's book, get referred. It's on Amazon. I'm sure Andrew's happy to take questions from people too, so feel free to reach out to him. And thanks again for joining our podcast today, Andrew.
Andrew, it's my pleasure. And to everyone listening, yes, you can manage the messy world of referral sources and get better and more referred business.
Thank you for tuning in to the Legal Innovation Forum podcast. Stay tuned on our website for the next edition. You can listen to us on all your favorite podcast platforms. Tune in on liforum.co/podcasts.